an analysis of the Andrews Company's performance over the last 8 years to current and future shareholders. My name is Phoebe Marcon. I am the Managing Director of ValueTech. Today we have Michelle Loden, a Senior Analysis, that is going to begin our presentation by discussing the evolution of Andrew over the past 8 years and discussing the strategy that they used. We'll then hand over to Daniel, our Senior Analysis, who will be discussing some of the mistakes Andrews have made and the ethical impacts the company's operations have had. Our business analysis, Emirates, is then going to discuss how the executive shake-up affected Andrews, providing us with some insight on results and whether Andrews saw an improvement or decline. Emirates will also brief us on whether any strategy adjustments were made during this time. Finally, before we hand over to our business analysis, Laura, who will be discussing Andrew's performance into the future, taking a look at what we would do if our consultancy took over the business, and taking a look at a 5-year strategy discussing marketing segments, price and automation.
Thanks, Phoebe. I'm Michelle Loudon, the Senior Business Analyst, and I'm going to be talking to you about Andrews Company story and their strategy. Andrews is a tech company that manufactures sensors and sells them to other companies that put them into products such as computers, smartphones, and electronic devices. They were founded in 2017 and have been operating for 8 years. Andrews have had a number of critical incidents over the past 8 years, which have left the company in the unfavorable position that it is today. The first major incident was in 2020 when Andrews overestimated their sales and ended up with a large amount of inventory and emergency loans. Their stock price crashed from $31 to $1, and they failed to purchase production equipment for their new products. In 2021, they cut 2 of their products from the high-end and performance segment and introduced a new product for the high-end segment. 2022, Andrews started R&D on a new product called ACE. They also received an $11 emergency loan. The following year, they strangely cut their product ACE off before its revision date and had to sell off their recently purchased capacity. 2024 was another poor year for Andrews. Their market share dropped from 9 to 7%, and their share price crashed down to $1. They also received a $37 million emergency loan. Finally, 2025 was the worst year for Andrews, with their market share dropping to below 6%, and they also received a small emergency loan. In terms of strategy, Andrews appears to follow the forward differentiator strategy, which is when a company keeps their existing product line and makes sure that the products are updated to the ideal spot each year. This strategy requires aggressive marketing, production growth, and funding through stock issues and loans. Even though this was their strategy, they failed to stay in every segment, with the cutting of their performance products in 2021. In regards to positioning, we can see from the picture that the positioning of the high-end and price products from 2022 to 2025 is not near the ideal spot. They also failed to spend enough money on marketing to raise awareness and accessibility, and they barely invested in any new capacity. As we can see from the graph, they did not spend more than $19 million in any 1 year and actually sold off a significant part of their capacity. In regards to financing, Andrews took out hardly any debt compared to their competitors. This could explain that the line of their company is debt is required to fund plant improvements. In conclusion, Andrews did not stick to any particular strategy, which is why they performed so badly. If they had better repositioned their products, marketed aggressively, and taken out more debt, the outcome may have been different. I'll now pass on to Daniel.
Thanks, Michelle. My name is Daniel. I'm one of the Senior Analysts here at ValueTech. I'll be talking about some of these strategy mistakes that Andrews executed in terms of the broad differentiator strategy. What we can see is that the perception of the consumer really changed after round 2, going from round 3 onwards. So just to clarify first that the broad differentiating strategy is to provide the most competitive pricing and be present in all segments, providing the highest quality product. Now, first of all, with this strategy, adequate financing is absolutely critical. So we found that that was one of the main issues, inadequate financing, especially from round 3 onwards. Basically, the strategy also failed when they purchased a product, then cut it off before the revision date due to low sales, not really giving this product a chance, we feel, to succeed in the market. Some mitigation tactics did include taking out debt and adjusting forecasting levels, but this is where the company entered into survival mode. Now, customer survey scores, like I said before, this went down along with market share. So we can see that the perception of the consumer really changed after round 3. So customer survey scores were above 100 before round 3. Round 3 onwards, they doubled in the 70 and 80 zones. Now we see this is a problem coming from the inadequate repositioning of the product from round 3, as the strategy requires them to keep up with R&D and basically investing to the right areas of the business. And also emergency loans were occurring in the same rounds, that obviously where high levels of inventory were present and sizable planned investments. So from round 3 onwards, we saw what I call a reactive strategy. This is basically a flow-on effect of round 2 of the company's overall strategy and what caused the failure. Andrews tried to serve customers that were not being served by other companies. So they were looking at the competitor analysis and trying to pick up the crumbs and trying to find segments where the customers were not being served instead of being proactive in their strategy. From round 4 onwards, their prices were lowered, once again entering more into survival mode instead of thriving. One thing led to another. Sales revenue was still high, although cumulative profits were down. Contribution margin also went down. Sales revenue didn't even cover material and labour costs as well. So as we can see, this is a big flow-on effect. Onto the emergency loans. Andrews had a total of 4 emergency loans of 20 million, 11 million, 37 million and 2 million. These are spread across the game, sort of one to every 2 rounds. Obviously, as you can tell, frequent, there was a good recovery from each emergency loan. Poor forecasting being the crucial factor to these emergency loans due to high levels of excess inventory and no assigned capacity for new products as well. So as we can see, there was consistent high levels of inventory, and although they recovered from these emergency loans, Andrews did not put in adequate strategies to thrive after recovery, instead of falling back into emergency loans. I will now pass on to Emirates.
Thanks, Daniel. My name's Emirates, and I'll be looking at Team Andrews in terms of their performance after the executive switch up. I'd like to start by first looking at their profits. Overall, from rounds 1 to 4, profits equaled approximately $3 million. However, between 2022 and 2025, the total profits came to a loss of around 18 million all up. These losses may be due to plant increases, lower prices with fewer sales than forecasted for, and were in line with the emergency loans. In looking at sales, prior to 2022, Team Andrews were up to just over 400 million in total. However, after the executive switch, their total sales came to about 388 million thereabouts, which is a total decrease of $19 million. This decrease in sales may be due to a combination of things such as smaller promo sales budgets or having poor products in the market in later rounds. In terms of customer satisfaction, they were producing worse products in rounds 5 to 8 with a total rating of 322 as opposed to 369 for rounds 1 to 4, which may have been due to cost-cutting strategies, limiting their ability to redesign better products. Some changes I can see with the new team member is an increase in planned investments in round 5 and some lowered prices. I believe that the strategy here was to increase production and lower prices to increase sales, but that actually resulted in a loss of cumulative profits, as lower prices may not have covered material and labour costs. Also, customers rated their product higher prior to the new member arriving, the causes being limited cash for product enhancements, limited promo and sales budget. The reason for this could be from competitors stealing the market rather than the advice of a new team member, Although in saying this, round 5 saw an instant increase in ratings, which the new team member may have contributed to. So Andrews identified as a broad differentiator. In this strategy, the aim is to maintain a presence in every segment to distinguish products with excellent design, high awareness and accessibility. By the end of the simulation, Andrews had presence in only the traditional, the low and the high side segments, neglecting the performance segment. I'd say this adjustment was used to reduce costs as they weren't doing so well in the performance segment. Their focus also switched to traditional and low-end products. Prior to round 5, they were spending more on promo and sales. After a slight increase in 2022, when the new member arrived, Andrews took a less aggressive spending approach from then onwards. This was because they weren't very profitable and their poor sales forecasting resulted in a number of emergency loans. The impact of this resulted in them being beaten by competitors and suffering a continual loss of profits and market share with no cash to fix the problem. Overall, I'd say it's difficult to say that the new team member was a strong contributor to the decline in performance. I believe Andrew's situation was already quite tricky and the slight strategy adjustments were made to focus on staying present in the market rather than being a winner in the market. Thank you, and I'll now be passing on to Laura Casella, a fellow business analyst, to look at the future performance for Andrews.
Thanks, Emrys. Today I'll be discussing the future performance of Andrews. So Andrews hasn't improved each round in terms of sales, which affects profit as they generated the least profit of approximately negative 22 million. They had a fluctuation in sales from round 1 to round 8. Andrew had a decrease in sales of approximately 34 million. This is due to factors such as those previously mentioned. In order to have a positive generation of profit and drive up sales and market share, adjustments and changes need to be made. So what would Value Tech do? There are a few points Andrews can consider to better their company's position in the industry. Andrews can firstly decrease expenses. To do so, Andrews can source cheaper suppliers, outsource manufacturing, also having a better collection system with regards to their accounts receivable, such as asking customers to pay within a certain time frame, and payment not made within this time frame will incur an extra penalty. Secondly, Andrews can seek major benefit investing more into total quality management to continuously improve and deliver high quality products. It is believed that in round 5, no investment in TQM was made, which has impacted their company's performance and contributed to the fact that their products were less desirable than the other companies who had invested in TQM at this point. Also, investing more into marketing such as sales and promotion can help Andrews' market share. To be able to gain more of a market share, Andrews can increase its accessibility and awareness and overall spending in promotion. And lastly, investing more into plant and equipment and increasing automation will allow for Andrews to produce higher quality products that are going to be more competitive in the market. So with regards to our 5-year strategy, in the first year, Andrews should perhaps consider changing their strategy to a niche differentiator to have a focus on high quality and performance products with high awareness and easy accessibility and allow for expanded capacity to remain a market leader. With marketing and segmentation, Andrews can develop products to suit particular segments such as high-end, size and performance segments, as opposed to spending money on products to go in all segments and not selling them due to not matching customers' needs and wants, which was a problem for Andrews. This is to be done in the first year. Having a niche focus will allow for Andrews to focus on those products carefully. Also, spending aggressively in promotion and sales in the higher size and performance segments and allow for the exit of low-end segments will mean Andrews have a clearer focus that can help drive more sales over the 5-year strategy. So in terms of pricing, Andrews is to change to having premium prices. This will account for not having products in all segments. Premium prices also demonstrate the quality of the products, hence concentrating on higher-end markets will be of value. For automation, and also in each year of the plan, customer needs and wants need to be matched and products positioned accordingly. With this, also having moderate increases to automation each year will improve margins, improve products and decrease labour costs. So for our conceptual map, We use this to visually display the perception of potential customers of Andrews in changing to a niche differentiator strategy. It is believed that once this strategy takes action, customers will see the company as a high-end, high-quality and high-price technology-driven company. I will now pass you on to Stevie to conclude.
Thank you, Laura. In conclusion, we at Value Tech do not advise investing in Andrews at this moment. However, with some serious changes to how the company is run and managed, they may be able to become profitable in the future. We would recommend restructuring the management team to be in charge of departments such as sales, marketing, production and financing. This way, each member will be held responsible for the success of their department. We also recommend that Andrews spends more time doing market research to ensure that their forecasting is accurate. This will prevent them from having excess stock and receiving emergency loans. Sticking to one strategy will also help, whether this be differentiator or broad cost leader. They need to ensure that they are consistent with their decisions. The company also needs to be carefully financed with long-term debt and stock issues used to fund plant improvements. Products should also be updated to the ideal spot with more money spent on marketing to raise awareness and accessibility. Finally, Andrews should invest smartly in total quality management solutions to ensure that they streamline costs in their business. We would like to thank you for taking the time to watch our presentation and hope that you found it informative for your future investments.